Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to another video on the channel. So it's the preview video for Game Week 23. We're going to start by taking a look at the mini league, who was manager of the week and who is the overall leader, as well as how my own team did in Game Week 22. Then I'll discuss the best captaincy options for this game week, as well as my own team selection and transfers made moving forward. If you are new to the channel, please do consider subscribing, liking the video. Honestly, the support has been amazing this season, and I really do appreciate it as I try and close in on 1,000 subscribers. So let's get into it. And we're going to start with Manager of the Week. And shout out to Bilal, who managed to get 66 points. Not the biggest score ever, but enough to be top of the mini league for this week. There's quite a few people in the high 50s to low 60s, but Bilal just edged it. And that Patrick Dorgu 15 points definitely didn't do any harm. Has a 9 pointer from Cole Palmer, as well as some really good defensive scores all round. Now, there wasn't the same for the attackers. Bowen, Voltemada and Watkins not necessarily doing that much, but it didn't really make a difference because Haaland, who he doesn't own, also blanked again. So 66 points is a great score, 202 for the game week rank, 1,000 in the world. And, we move forward and it'd be good to see how he does the rest of the season. So the overall leader is still Dom. Shout out to Dom. Managed to break into the top 7K this season, which is amazing. We're over halfway now. So this sort of rank is really good moving forward. There is a bit of space between the top three in the mini league as well. There is as well people really close behind in fourth and fifth and onwards. I myself am actually fifth or joint fifth in the mini league as well. But Dom, a really good week. Did captain Haaland again, but again, doesn't really matter if you captain Haaland because he blanks because so many people are also doing the same thing. But the Arsenal and Newcastle defence paid off, as did having Verts. But other than that, wasn't a ton of point spread in terms of the attacking options. Was unlucky to have Tarkowski on the bench, but also lucky to have O'Reilly on the bench. So into my team, and I managed to get 50 points this week as well, same as Dom. So, if you're getting the same amount of points as your mini league leader, can't be doing too bad. And it did see me with about a 40k green arrow up to about 75k. So the top 75k in FPL, which I'm really happy with. So how did I do it? Well, in goal had David Raya, and the Arsenal clean sheet happened again. And we talked about how David Raya is just a good pick. He's my preferred Arsenal pick because, again, he did outscore Jury and Timber, and Timber just has to get attacking returns or DEFCON consistently to be worth that extra 500,000 than he is over Raya. Also, Carl Darlow is starting for Leeds, or he did start for Leeds in the last week. I got him in to save a bit of money to get in Ekitike a few weeks ago. But if he's now Leeds starting goalkeeper, it makes the bench boost a possibility pretty much every game week if he is regular, because he did manage to keep a clean sheet as well, which can only bode well for the future. Into defence and did really well. A lot of returns here. Mukiele got an assist, no clean sheet, but did get DEFCON as well. And then Gabriel and Lewis Hall managed to get 8 and 9 points on top of that. Lewis Hall with 3 bonus points was great. And Senesi did concede and get booked last night. And so it meant I made the right decisions or the right outcomes happened for my defenders um, into midfield. And Elliot Anderson did come in for Matthias Nunes. Nunes didn't play for Man City. I think he was ill. So we'll wait and see how that goes moving forward. Enzo Fernandez got a return again. And there wasn't too much else going on. Foden and Saka flanking the wings on this team graphic here doesn't look that great. And I have already transferred Foden out of my team, which we'll discuss a little bit more later in the video. Up front again, Ekitike kept hold of him for this game week, and Liverpool had so many shots on goal. It wasn't necessarily a bad decision to keep hold of him, but I think moving forward, he is someone that I am looking at getting rid of, as I've discussed previously. But funnily enough, he probably will still be in the team this week, even with 3 transfers being made. So let's take a look at the fixtures and the best captaincy options. And to be honest, it is Haaland. Shock, I know. Nothing really groundbreaking in this section. You should be captaining Haaland this week. That's what I will be doing without a doubt, unless there is an injury, because Champions League is starting again this week. There are, serious competitive games where players could get injured for one reason or another. So if Haaland did get injured, where would you go? Well, the predicted points have, a couple of Arsenal players in Gabriel and Rice being the next best options as well as Foden. But I wouldn't captain an Arsenal player at home to Man United. I think they could do well. I think there could be a 2-0 win there. I'm really not sure someone like a Rice is a legitimate captaincy option this week. You could look at maybe a Verts or an Ekitike away at Bournemouth. I think Salah, even though he's coming back from AFCON, it's probably a little bit early with it being on the Saturday for him to be back into the lineup, or at least the starting lineup. I also quite like the Chelsea game away at Palace. Now, Palace is never an easy place to go to, but there's been a lot of upheaval. They've lost Mark Gahey, Glasner's not happy, and I just think it's the right time to play Palace. So even a Chelsea defender, I think if you think someone is going to keep a clean sheet this game week, you could absolutely get in a Chelsea defender or another defender and captain them. Clean sheet is 6 points anyway, and a lot of these predicted points are 6.2, 5.8. So a defender that keeps a clean sheet gets DEFCON and bonus. Someone like Lewis Hall this week got 9 points away at Wolves. That would have been amazing for my team. So don't need to overthink it. It's just something different to consider. But Haaland should definitely be your captain this week. So into my team selection for this game week. And in goal, of course, I'm going with David Raya. There's no need for me to get him out anytime soon. The fixtures look good, and I'm really happy with him. I want those clean sheets. And a lot of other goalkeepers, we've seen it this week, these cheaper goalkeepers, they're not going to keep you as many clean sheets. And I know you might say the price difference is too much and you could use that money elsewhere. I actually don't need to use the money right now. I've got money in the bank, and that is with even keeping hold of Ekitike. So in this team, I have made one free transfer, but I am also planning on making two more. And I've put this into the graphic here. So in defense, I am going to get in Reece James, and I really want Reece James. My sort of gut instinct is to say go for Chalobah. He's safer. And a lot of my FPL, or a lot of good advice in FPL, is based on the fact that you don't want to get in players that are going to cause you issues later down the line. And that is someone like Reece James. Reece James is an issue later down the line waiting to happen because problems happen on their own, right? Players get injured, you want to transfer out other players, or better options come along, and therefore you want to focus your transfers on them. So you don't want to have to deal with a potential injury in someone like Reece James, or maybe even a potential rotation. I do think that he is someone that will be starting for Chelsea more often than not. He is their captain, and I think that counts for a lot. The fixtures look great, and I want him in for the next few. I think if you miss the Palace game, you're then looking at four fixtures instead of five, and everyone else is getting in Chelsea players then. So you kind of miss the boat. Not a lot. Like it's still obviously great to get Chelsea in for game week 24. But I think right now, if you can attack the fixtures and set your team up, that's even better. Now, because I haven't made the transfer yet, the only reason is because I want to wait and see the Champions League fixtures and see if Reece James manages to get through that unscathed. If he doesn't play in that game, I'm not bothered either because he'll just be rested. But what I don't want him to do is pick up an injury after I've just transferred him in now. I also want to wait and see how Nunez's injury is going. Like he was ill, and that's why he missed the Man City game. If he's fine, which he should be, I will take out Lewis Hall for Reece James. If Reece James is injured, I will take out Lewis Hall and get in Chalobah instead, and that transfer will happen. So even though I haven't officially made it right now, I will 100% be making a change like that into midfield, and I have brought in Pedro Neto. That transfer has happened, and so he is in my team. I took out Foden. Now, because I had four Man City players, I had to make a Man City transfer. Foden was the one to go, and Pedro Neto was the one to come in. I just really like Pedro Neto. I think he will keep starting for Chelsea. And again, FPL is a little bit about having fun as well and taking some risks. I think my team is really solid overall. So I'm happy to take one or two risks for the short term and get these players in. Like worst case scenario is I do still have two free transfers to use, and next week I will have three transfers again. Even making these three transfers this week, had five free transfers in the bank, and I still have my wild card as well if I have to play it, if I do get a ton of issues in my team. I'm more than happy to get in Pedro Neto. And, because I had to take out a Man City player, it was either Nunes to come out. But looking at Man City's fixtures, I think defensively they look good for the next few weeks. Although I'm not a huge fan of their defense with all the injuries, but Mark Gahey could solve all of that. Up front, I'm sticking with Ekatike. Now, he is someone who is going to be coming out of my team pretty soon, but Bournemouth away is still a good fixture. Like, for some reason, they've got it in red in the FPL website. I think it's fine. And I think Ekatike, with the amount of chances Liverpool got last game week, will be getting those chances again, and he will be highly likely to get some points. Now, last week I was absolutely set on Ekatike coming out, but I didn't need to free up that much transfer funds in order to get in into get in Neto because I could downgrade Foden to Neto, and that gave me enough funds to get in Reece James as well. So I could save Ekatike for one more week, and that Bournemouth game isn't the worst in the world. And then next game week, I'll probably downgrade him all the way to Mateus Mane from Wolves, and just use that money to upgrade Semenyo to Bruno Fernandes, and then that's a load of flexibility in the bank as well. So I have brought in Krupi Jr. from Bournemouth. Think obviously his minutes could get limited. He's rotated possibly a little bit, but he's 4.6 million and he's going to be on my bench more weeks than not. So to have a bench player that is going to be getting minutes no matter what is great. And I also had to take out Mark Gui to free up a Chelsea slot. So I already had three Chelsea players and therefore I needed to swap him out. So it seems a bit of a not a sideways transfer because you're thinking, why are you transferring out your third player on your bench for another player who's going to be on your bench? But it was to free up a Chelsea slot. I just really like the three Chelsea players that I've got. I think they offer high upside as well. And overall, they're not the most expensive players. There's no Palmer in there who's taking up a ton of budget. So overall, the team value is still really good. And once I've made these other transfers, I'll have zero point 0.6 million in the bank and still two free transfers to use. So the strengths for me are I've been proactive. I'm going to get in these players if there's no injuries. I will put my money where my mouth is. I know sometimes FPL content creators they can just discuss things for the sake of it and sort of and ah as to whether they're going to do it. I am going to do these moves. The only question is whether Reece James gets injured in the Champions League, and I just wanted to delay it a couple of days, but I won't be putting out another team update. I will comment on this video as to which transfers I do actually make, but there's no reason why I wouldn't make these two extra ones this week and then the Ekatike and Semenyo transfers out next week. The weaknesses for me is, of course, risky Chelsea. These Chelsea players, there is a chance of rotation, there's a chance of injury with someone like a Reece James, but I think sometimes you've just got to go for it. It's only for the short term. And the good thing about someone like a Reece James is because he's quite expensive, I can downgrade him to anybody at any point, and I've got that flexibility built up with the free transfers that there is a get out if needed. Now, that's not ideal, and you shouldn't fill your team up with players who are going to be potential issues later down the line, like a Reece James when he gets injured or if he gets injured. But I think for the time being, if Chelsea don't keep a clean sheet, he's still got a chance of attacking returns. And that's pretty good. You need to keep yourself with a chance of getting those high points. So, yeah, that's the team. That's the transfers. Let me know what you think about my team. Let me know if you've got any questions as well. Always great to chat FPL. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully, we can get 1,000 subscribers in the near future, and I will see you in the next one.